Okay. Cinematic. Lights, camera, action. Cinematic is the newest album released by Owl City, and this one surprised me quite a bit. Owl City is one of those artists where I feel like a lot of people either like it or they just don't get it at all. I'm one of the people who really like what he does, and I think that he has, I don't want to say potential, because I think he's already reached a very, very good success level for himself. He's not maybe one of the A-listers at the moment, but he definitely is one of those artists who I feel like has one of those yes factors that I'm always looking for, and a lot of the songs in this album do show it. Owl City has some tendencies he kind of follows with a lot of his albums, and I don't mind those tendencies as long as he does bring something new to the table each time, and I think he does that well. And something else that I admire a lot about this artist is that he loves to make songs where he isn't just singing about either love or tragedy or some fiasco in the real world at the moment, but he actually is singing as if he's telling a story. And that's almost literally every song in this album. Every song feels like an individual story on probably a real life experience he's had. And that's something so magnetic that I draw nearer and nearer and nearer to each song that he plays in this album. I will say, this is a long album. It's 18 tracks long. It technically should be 15 because he has 3 alternative versions of 3 of the songs that he already has in this album. But if you are a fan of Owl City, I don't think you're going to care. I think you're going to like either the majority or all of this album and just be like, wow, a lot of time just passed by and I didn't even notice. But if you're not like a hardcore Owl City fan, you might not enjoy listening to the whole thing. Personally, I really like it. There's a lot of these songs that I put on shuffle, and believe it or not, I listened to a lot of these songs over and over and over and over again before I decided to review this album. It took me so long to try and decide, how do I really feel about this? I know I love it, but what are my real thoughts? Am I going to be true to myself when I review this album? Because I don't want to just come off as a Owl City fanboy. Again, I am a fan. I just don't want to come off as a fanboy just so that I don't feel like it's going to interfere with how I want to review the album and share my honest thoughts on it. Since this album is really long, and since there's so many songs I would like to highlight about it, I probably can't because it'll just take too long. So I'll choose 3 that I can pick from my list, and I'll just kind of talk about some of the production qualities and some of the things that he did in order to make it innovative. I loved that Fiji Water was the first song on here. That was just fun to listen to. It's another one of those stories where I'm pretty sure that's his own experience, talking about how he became the artist that he is now, like his beginning stages. Such a solid drum beat in there, and the lyrics just take me away in that story that he's sharing. The song Montana, that one's interesting because he has a regular version and an alternative version. Both sound amazing, but they're very different. One is much more fast-paced, and the other one feels like it's kind of something, it almost feels like he was making like a family tribute, or a tribute to a friend for that experience he had, for whatever inspired him to write the song about Montana itself. I'll insert the alternative version clip right here. And the last of the regular songs is called Cinematic. That one's just a bundle of joy and fun right there. Not much else can be said, except Star Wars references. Come on, man, that's awesome. Now, there's tons of things on here I would like to go on about. The 5th of July talks about basically his parents and how he was born. It's a fun little story right there. The song Lucid Dream is kind of a 90s, early 2000s kind of techno-ish like song. Winners Never Quit has kind of a video game chimes that I just grew to love every time I listen to it. The songs Madeline Island and House Wren both have like chirping bird noises that kind of make it feel like it's more of an outdoorsy kind of song of some kind. Too much to highlight on this. This is fun. Now, if you do listen to the album, and if you hear other people review this album, there's one song on here I think everyone's going to kind of try to knock off points on, and that's All My Friends. I'll admit, the original version of All My Friends, it was weird to listen to because it doesn't sound like it belongs on this album. It sounds kind of like a cheesy Disney campfire kind of song. That doesn't mean it's a bad song. It just sounds cheesy. However, I will say the alternative version does sound a lot better. I think people are knocking it down too much just because they feel like Owl City's standard is like just in or right below mainstream, and they think that that is just completely not mainstream. And yeah, I can see some validation in that, but you know, not every song has to sound like it belongs on mainstream radio, and a lot of things that sound like they should be on mainstream radio that I review don't get that kind of spotlight. I think that you should just review music for what it is. Is that song a good song? I think it's an okay song. I think it has its place, but a lot of his other songs are much better. So after having listened and reviewed this album with production of 99%, creativity 97%, expression and lyrics 97%, I'm going to give this album a yeah. Lots and lots of yes moments in there. Fell just a hair below what I wanted it to be. And maybe it's a yes album to you guys. And that's what I wanted it to be. I listened to this album bunches of times, and I eventually felt calm and peaceful inside after re-reviewing and then re-reviewing a lot of the songs. And that's how I feel this album is. I would highly recommend this album still. You can go check it out yourself, go buy it. Maybe you'll like all the songs, maybe you'll be more selective, but Owl City is doing something right. He is one of the artists who I think is a tremendously amazing example of sticking to his own guns. He is using his style. He is very consistent. His thing is really individualistic, and I don't want to lose that charm that he has. We'll continue to see what Owl City brings out. The talent and the possibilities really have almost no limits. Cinematic. Terrific. As always, guys, thank you so much for watching, and remember, click right here to discover, promote, and review the best in entertainment. That'll make you say yes. Fiji water.